Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Coming up here in just a few days time, we of course are going to see our next major update here in Black Ops 6 and Warzone, and that of course is the Season 2 update. It seems like it's been forever since Season 1 launched. It was one of the longer seasons in recent memory, but with this, there is currently so much writing on Season 2 for this game that quite frankly, this is maybe the most important update we've seen in Call of Duty in years, and it's absolutely the most critical update that we've had for Black Ops 6 yet. Truthfully, this update for a lot of people, I would imagine, is a make it or break it style update, where if this update does what it promises to do or what the expectations have been set for it to do, then yeah, it has a good chance to, no pun intended, have a resurgence with the game, bring players back and right the ship, if you will, right the course, if you will, with the state of Black Ops 6 and Warzone. However, if Season 2 under-delivers on a lot of what it's promised, on a lot of what's been built up surrounding it, then that could be, for a lot of cases, the final nail in the coffin for many players out there. There is, like I said, so much writing on this update. And I wanted to talk a bit about why that is and what to expect across the board with Season 2. So, of course, for the past several months, really, since the launch of Season 1 back in November for Black Ops 6 and Warzone, this game has honestly been a bit of a roller coaster, you know, one where you're starting to climb that initial descent and it's like, oh, I paid for this. Was this a mistake? Should I not be on this ride right now? You know, it's been up and down for several different situations and for several different reasons. You know, the season launches, obviously, there was so much hype going into Season 1 because the Warzone integration had maybe the most potential out of any integration to date, given the fact that it was designed on the same engine as Warzone 2 and MW3 were, so there was a lot of prep going into it. Then, of course, COD comes out and says, well, actually, this year was the first time we've ever really done this, so it was a big learning curve for everyone, and it was a big learning experience for everyone. So that kind of, you know, threw a wrench into that idea of this being super smooth. And then, of course, with Black Ops 6 then having Warzone integrated into it and everything running together, all the issues that Warzone implemented then also directly affected Black Ops 6 multiplayer as well. So even though they're two completely separate experiences, they still connect to each other because of the COD HQ, and then it's just been this very bumpy ride, this very bumpy road ever since. And then the devs go on a holiday break for Thanksgiving, they're out for a little bit, we get some fixes before Christmas, we see Season 1 Reloaded drop earlier than ever, and it just seemed like that caused even more issues than it ended up resolving. And then the devs go on a holiday break and they're out for even longer. Then they come back with a slight update and it's like, hey, these are some of the changes that we worked on, some of the fixes that we worked on before the break, they're live now. And again, there was some expectation in that and it fell short, ended up breaking several more things than it ended up fixing. So it's been a pattern of very rough updates, very underwhelming fixes and changes for the past month and a half, 2 months, right? So leading up to Season 2, the state of the game, the general sentiment on the game has not been great. That's been very apparent, like I've said in several videos before. This is the most critical I've been of a COD, really, I think, ever in my time in the almost 13 years of doing this, you know, here on YouTube. And that same sentiment is shared with a lot of other channels right now because objectively, you can't look at this game and say, oh, everything's fine, you know, it's sunshine and rainbows. It's not, although in the store that never breaks, there's a lot of sunshine and rainbows. Anyways, looking ahead to Season 2, they've promised a lot. They've built up expectations for this, which could go very well. It could go to actually, you know, building some credibility with them yet again, to earning back some trust with them, or it could go terribly wrong. And there's a few different elements that are going to play into whether or not this update goes well, or whether or not this update does not go well. First and foremost, with the content, we obviously saw a lot of reveals for this the past week or so with the new roadmap and the trailers for various different things, the full breakdown of the new weapons, battle pass, operators, maps, modes, all sorts of stuff going on there. But that's all pretty standard for any given season. You know, there's nothing out of the ordinary with Season 2 that makes it stand out so much from, you know, any other seasonal content. We have the basic stuff, the new battle pass, the same old there. Couple of new weapons, although there is more in the battle pass than we usually see, so that's cool, I guess. Same deal with, though, new maps. Pretty standard for every single season. Some new modes, various different features there. Like, the content here is great. Some of it looks awesome, some of it looks more standard, right? But at the end of the day, as I've said before, content doesn't matter when there's other priorities in the game that overshadow it and overtake it in terms of what needs to be fixed first or what sort of bleeds into everything else. Content can be awesome, but if you can't experience it because you're getting cheated on, or because the game is broken, or because it always crashes, then it doesn't matter how good that content is. So the expectations for the content, I don't feel like are anything substantial, because it's just so standard. It's a new season. We know what to expect at that point. Call of Duty, however, did go out of their way to talk a lot about what's coming up in terms of fixing the game and addressing the major issues in their community update that they posted a few weeks back, essentially saying that first and foremost, they recognize that the cheating situation has been disastrous so far this year. They missed the mark on ranked play completely. They were not ready for that to launch, and it just was a disaster with how many cheaters impacted that. They've now banned over 136,000 accounts just in ranked. Keep in mind, if you look at the Steam player count numbers, there's been more ranked play accounts banned than what the Steam numbers were on average for the past couple of weeks, right? Which is crazy to think about. On top of that, though, they also mentioned that in Season 2, we finally are going to see, in their own words, some major anti-cheat updates, improved client and server-side detections, updates to their kernel-level driver for better driver security, reinforced encryption processes, new tampering detection systems. They don't get into the specifics here because obviously they don't want to show their cards to the cheat developers, but they are promising a lot with this anti-cheat update. In the past, though, for several years, they've promised previously a lot with other anti-cheat updates, and those never really amounted to anything significant. Like, obviously, we're still here after all those previous anti-cheat updates in Black Ops 6 and Warzone, where cheating's at one of the worst spots it's ever been at. And that's dating back to Verdansk, when it was absolutely ridiculous when the game first launched, right? So they're promising that there's going to be new significant updates. They completely admitted fault to their anti-cheat being incredibly lackluster so far this year. So they've built an expectation that come Season 2, there will be a change in the amount of cheaters you run into. There will be better, detection for this anti-cheat. That's something they have to follow through on, or quite frankly, I don't know if there will be any more trust when it comes to what their anti-cheat team says about upcoming updates and changes and fixes. They've also previewed changes for Season 3 as well, which we can assume is roughly 8 weeks out from happening if it's a standard seasonal length for Season 2, of course, where we'll see even more significant updates. But if the Season 2 anti-cheat updates don't follow through and actually live up to their hype, live up to the expectations that COD has set here, no one's really going to be interested in those Season 3 updates because there won't be any faith that there's actually going to be significant changes there. They've also stated how Warzone this season is going to receive less content than usual. I mean, you can look at the roadmap. Warzone, for the first time maybe ever, is the smallest section on the roadmap. There's only a couple of new things coming in the form of perks and some quality of life things, because they said they pushed back content, they delayed content specifically to focus on the state of the game, quality of life features and adjustments coming, gameplay fixes, gameplay changes to make the game run better and feel better. Those are coming instead of the typical major content updates that we see. So they've built the expectation that Season 2 is going to address a ton of our concerns. However, those expectations are now high, and typically Call of Duty has fallen short of those expectations in a lot of cases. And with the state of the game currently, if that happens again, things are only going to get worse. And there's not much room for things to get worse in a lot of areas with this game, right? So, as I said earlier, this update is critical. This is going to be a make it or break it update for a ton of players, at least those that are socially online. You and me actively staying up to date with the game, watching YouTube videos, reading the blog posts, their tweets. The casual player base probably not as invested in this. And that's still the bulk of the player base, those who are actively spending money on the game and not really as concerned with a lot of these issues maybe as you and I are. But they're also still impacted by the same things here and there. However, that said, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be that glass half full person. I'd rather be the optimistic person rather than focusing solely on the negatives. Quite frankly, I think that's kind of miserable, and life's too short to spend so much time focusing on negative things, honestly. So glass half full here. If Season 2 is capable of restoring some of that faith and they do meet expectations, and this update isn't another scenario where it breaks more than it fixes, then yes, COD actually has a chance to reestablish some credibility with their word. They said they were going to fix things and things get fixed. Well, now, okay, there's a bit more trust there because a lot of that trust has been lost and or broken since the launch of Season 1 here. So Season 2, of the utmost importance when it comes to Call of Duty updates, maybe one of the most important updates that we've seen in years for this franchise. Obviously, once the patch notes drop and we see the updates implemented, we'll have a much better idea of, does it meet expectations? Did they actually live up to what they said they would do? Does the hype actually match with what we're playing? time will tell. You guys know I'm gonna keep you in the know for all things going on in COD, including those patch notes when they first drop, and everything going on with Season 2 once it is fully live. So if you want to stay up to date every single day, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, a like rating on your way out would be seriously appreciated as well. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.